So I see everyone bitching online about how everything's so expensive and minimum wage doesn't cover you to be able to live on your own or whatever, right? So I've always just been like, well, then get a fucking better job or move somewhere where you can afford. Like, don't live in Manhattan. Don't live somewhere expensive. And then, so I took a bit of advice that I got from an old English teacher from like 10th grade or whatever. And she taught us how to really attack an argument. Like, if you want to win an argument, you really have to understand both sides. So what she would always make us do would be to write a paper in support of the side that you oppose. So basically, you'd have to spend a week researching and figuring out, if you had to take the other person's viewpoint and convince you that you were wrong and they were right, how would you do that? So it would force you to look into, in an unbiased way, and actually, I'm not even unbiased, it's actually more biased towards the way you want, like you can get your head around it, then, you wind up coming up with a natural argument for the opposition. But in the meantime, what you're actually doing is you're learning more inside of what the opposition is thinking and what's like, kind of like being in their shoes, so to speak, right? So it's helped me out in a lot of ways. One, it's helped me win a lot of arguments because when you understand what the talking points are and they're all bullshit, you can fucking cut right through it. But at the same time, it helps out a lot when you really understand something that you thought you understood, but you didn't. All of a sudden, you're finding new information that you've never seen before. You're doing research, which is what you're supposed to be doing. So I have then just decided, because I thought it would be fun, to go look at ChatGPT. I was just checking through ChatGPT, and I said, what are the bare necessities to live? Money, housing, car, all the things. Mm-hmm. Then I said, okay, well, how much is that on average out in Long Island? And it gave me all the prices. And the monthly for it comes out to between $3,000 and $5,000 a month. So then I said, okay, let's say I want to make double the bare minimum to survive. What's my salary? What's my annual salary? Or what's my hourly and my annual salary have to be? So then it goes through all the math and it comes out and says, I need to make $153,000 a year, roughly $74 an hour. And I didn't say anything crazy. Look, this is all it's saying. Rent, electric, water, natural gas, garbage, cell phone, internet, car payment, car insurance, gas, public transportation, health insurance, prescriptions.
Anything about even a vacation?
No. This is bare minimum to survive.
Right.
So I said to make double that. So let's say you could save some, invest some, have money to do shit, right? Buy new clothes.
Oh, yeah.
You would need $153,000 a year to make double that of your bare minimum.
And
so then I was like,
okay. How many?
One. That's a one-bedroom apartment. This is for one guy that's 25 years old.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. So then I was like, well, that's not going to happen. So I was like, okay, so what if I make only 20% more of the bare living costs and my rent is $1,500 a month, which is the low end, and I don't have a car payment? Now what am I looking at? I'm like, okay, let's bring this back down to college level, right? So now it says, well, your adjusted monthly expenses based on everything you want, blah, 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 blah. So now you need to make about $5,000 a month, $60,000 a year. So that's after taxes. Again, so before taxes, you need to make $83,500 a year, and if you break that down to the hourly, it's $40 an hour. So the bare minimum to survive as a 25-year-old adult male in Long Island, New York, alone, you have to make $40 an hour to have a 20% bump. So therefore, you could save 10% in case of fucking disaster, and then you have 10% to play with, and 10% is, what do we say that was going to be? 10% is $480. So it lets you save, invest $480, and then have that's $120 a week of extra spend beyond living.
Yeah, so if she wants another drink at dinner, no.
Exactly. Fuck that. Bitch, you eating air and drinking water.
Or is it my turn to drink tonight?
Yeah.
I love the water.
You swish it around your mouth and spit it into my mouth. Oh my god.
That's actually a good idea.
Yeah, so I'm looking at all this shit. So $40 an hour. So then I said, if I make 45 grand a year and my rent is $1,500 a month, how much do I have left over per month after tax? That's why I can just kind of gut feel it, right? So blah blah blah. So if you make 45 grand a year, $1,500 a month in rent, you'll have approximately $1,100 per month after taxes. So only take out rent, and you make 45 grand a year, which is like 22 and a half an hour. Then you only have $1,100 a month.
Right. So the people living with their parents,
It's like $250 a week.
Yeah.
That's fucking crazy.
They can't move out.
$250 a week. That's not saying you have that to play with. That's for your cell phone, for your food. That's for everything. That's what you have to live on. If you're paying $1,500 a month, you make 45 grand a year. You have $150 a week.
And food prices.
Less than 150.
Grocery store.
You're fucked.
Or out.
You're fucked. Fucked.
That's it.
You're so fucked.
And then it's like, okay, so what's the cheapest? Okay, so I'll get Chinese food.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, that's how I lived.
No, that's what I'm saying.
But
so
yeah,
how healthy is that for you?
And this is Long Island. I'm not even doing Manhattan.
Right, and their taxes on everything.
And you got New York City tax.
Ours is only 8.65 state tax.
Yeah, but in New York, you have New York City tax on top. I remember my first year I lived in the city, and they were like, "Oh, yeah, I'm like, okay, what's my federal, my state?" And then all of a sudden I get another thing, and then you have to pay city tax. I'm like, what the fuck is this? It's like, wait, no, what city tax? Yeah, New York City tax. And then you just pay that you're constantly getting raped everywhere tax in Manhattan because everything's just so expensive. So you want to drink? It's like, oh, well, now I even know. I honestly don't even know what drinks are because like when I'm in the city and I'm drinking, like my drinks cost like $20 because I'm at a restaurant like a steakhouse or some shit. So it's always like I'm not going to the club. If I go to the local bar, most of the time it's somewhere where I know someone, so I get hooked up. But that's the thing too. Is like knowing people and getting hooked up ain't gonna solve this problem. But that was like how I learned in the beginning to get hooked up, and was because I needed food. So it was like I need someone to swipe their meal pass that's got an extra thing on their thing because I'm out of money and I need to eat. So it's like you learn like. Those were the valuable skills I learned in college.
Right.
It's like, I have $5. I don't get paid for a week. What are you going to do? Cheerios looks delicious.
Wash your car for swipe on your meal pass.
Yeah, seriously. You're like, hey, I had a truck. I'll help people move in their apartment. You learn like real side hustle shit. Like, I need to figure out, like, I'll do this for pizza. What the fuck do you got? I didn't even drink. Imagine if I had drank, like I had to go out and buy alcohol every weekend. Holy fuck. Yeah.
But that's
never
also,
happened.
but that's
Or
also
drugs?
where
How did you do drugs in college? How's that possible? You gotta be rich.
I honestly don't know.
Well, actually, weed, you can just grow it.
A lot of people, they have their parents,
Yeah,
like you're going
that's
to
true.
school with
I
these
never
people
think of it that
yeah, that can rely back on their parents.
I remember one time when I was in college.
But where did the parents get this money? To have a house of 4 bedrooms,
They didn't work at the fucking auto plant like all my neighbors were at the post office or at the fucking they weren't garbage delivery guys. They weren't like those people at all.
Right, no, not these parents, but,
But, and I was thinking about this, because it's like, when kids are growing up, they have one of, like, I think it's almost like now it seems to be more polar. They have either adversity, or they're fucked, or they don't have to worry about anything. Like, they all have phones and tablets, and they got TVs and all shit, and it's like, oh, when I was a kid, you didn't have any of that shit. Like, there was that one rich kid down at the end of the hall that had a pager or some shit when no one else had pagers, shit like that. But, like, it's bizarre. Like, kids just fucking have everything now. Oh, you know what? Let's ask this. But this is the thing. Like, I've always been saying, though, if you can't afford to fucking live there, move. Okay, so Long Island's too expensive, get the fuck out, right? You can't afford it. If Manhattan's too expensive, what do we always say? Get the fuck out.
A lot of my friends have moved.
Let's see here. So, let's check Detroit, Michigan.
Okay.
If we change everything, okay, let's see what it says for rent. It says rent should be $800 in Detroit. Can you Google that? Like, 800. Don't know anyone in the right fucking mind. Maybe I need to say East Detroit.
And here I have
Okay, so they're still assuming $600 a month to live in East Detroit. Is that nuts? Look at East Detroit. See what the rent is going for like a 1-bedroom apartment. Hourly wage, $25 an hour. You still even $15 impossible, which minimum wage you're not supposed to be living on 15. But holy shit, you need to make $25 an hour in Detroit, in East Detroit, just to be able to live times 2.
Yeah.
$8.50 a month?
Yeah, I'm going.
Holy shit! What? What? When I was in college, you don't even think you could pay someone to live in East Detroit, but like rent would be.
Well, aren't the houses going for like $0? Like
they were. Well, but that's the big misconception is, well, it's twofold. One, there were giant liens on the house or property and shit that you'd have to pay off. So even though the house is $100 or $1,000, you have to pay off all these fucking taxes and on top of that, then they get you for the property. You have to rebuild the property, tear the house down. So you have to not only pay all those back taxes shit, also you got all this other front end shit you got to pay on top of it. So what it is the person is just trying to get out from under it. They don't want to pay the back taxes. They don't want to do shit. They just want this thing out of their fucking name, so they'll sell it for $1 because they don't care. They're losing money otherwise, right? So yeah, that just was it. And then you get a few people that would do it, and then all of a sudden, you got white kids moving into East Detroit thinking it's fucking cool, and then all their shit's fucking robbed, and they're all beat up and shit, and that lasts like 6 months. It's like,
yeah, some of these are
wasn't
really
a thing.
Pretty, the wraparound porch. I mean,
no,
crazy,
what's
but
crazy?
$145.
There's the thing. If you Google Detroit mansions. So inner city Detroit has these crazy like streets of like suburbs of these huge mansions that are ghetto as fuck.
Here.
No, they're destroyed.
Well, not as bad.
There's just like we met a guy there once to like a business meeting, one of our first clients. And we went to this house in the middle of like January. It was like one of these old ass mansions, fucking huge, but no windows, no heat, no nothing. It wasn't a crack house because it was still like a house, but it was huge. I think it probably had like 6-7 bedrooms in it. It was massive. But yeah, there's a whole bunch of them out there. But I know it's nuts though. Like Detroit has changed, but it's still not like it was like everybody keeps asking, oh, I heard it's better now. It's like it's better than it was before, but that's like saying, hey, I'm not getting kicked in the balls, I'm getting punched in the balls. It's like, yeah, it's better, but is it better? Whenever I have something that like an argument that I feel like very one-sided towards, sometimes I like to take a step back and purposely look from the other side. So like by looking at the other side, you're kind of forced to try to argue the other person's point. So that's why I was like, fuck it, let me just go into ChatGPT and see what it would really take to fucking live on today's salary. And holy shit, is it impossible? Alright, so when I was making $7.50 an hour, which was like my first job, like when I was like college or whatever, that's my first job, but because that was when I was working at like the fucking restaurants and shit. That's what I was making, I think. Like by the time it was like my senior year, I was pulling like $7, something like that, $7.50. So when I went to college, I was making somewhere around $930 after taxes a month. My rent, I think I was paying like $300, $250 maybe. I think it was like $250 a month, somewhere around there, $300. So it leaves me with $500. Yeah, that's totally doable. That was totally doable. Crazy. There is a massive divide. It's that gap. It's just because both parts are moving. Because the low minimum wage and the minimum required, and that minimum required, you don't really know what it is. So, man, when you run the numbers, that's fucked. Those people are fucked. Holy shit. But yeah, but what about old people? Like, who have a fixed income because they retired, or they got their pension, or they got their fucking government stipend, or whatever they got, and it's always been the same every year, but inflation, like, they're fucked. It's not like their retirement keeps up with inflation. That's insane.
No, that's not good.
Like, imagine if, like, for some reason, you retired 10 years ago, and now you are, for some reason, you're in a position where you have to buy a house. Oh, I know. 2 old people, let's say they're in their 70s, so they both retired. They both have like their pension, and they're both like, fuck you, I don't want to be with you anymore. And they get divorced, and they're like, fuck it, I don't want to spend the rest of my life, 3 years with you or whatever. So they both. No, neither one of them want to keep the house. So therefore, they both need to go buy a house or somewhere to live. And they wouldn't be able to. Like, I don't think they could even move anywhere. Maybe like middle of nowhere, Oklahoma, like some farmstead somewhere, maybe. But holy shit, like, what do you do? Are you forced to just live together then? Just like, well, you're my roommate now? Like, this is bizarre.
Right. Everyone, like, dreams of retirement and maybe, like...
And just relaxing, traveling. Like, good luck fucking traveling right now. Holy fuck. Impossible.
You gotta eat.
This is insane. And this is all just in the last,
well,
what, like 4 years?
That's like this retired couple
If that,
ended
free?
up booking 51 cruises back to back
Yeah.
because it's cheaper than renting.
Oh. Fuck it. That's awesome.
Right?
That's cool as shit. But that's the real answer. Like, okay, this is awesome. I'm glad I did this exercise.
Making my bed and I made my towel to the swan every day.
No, think about it. It's happening, but no one's talking about it the right way. What do I always say? If you can't afford where you live, move. I just keep thinking, where do you go within the United States? And the answer is always, you can't.
Right.
Fucking leave the country.
Right.
And that's what people are already doing. How many people since COVID, since this whole remote thing became normal, are like, fuck it, I'm going to go work in Bali for 3 months.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to Thailand and backpack for 3 months.
Shit.
I'm going to go to Australia. I'm going to go to fucking Europe. I'm going to go to fucking South Africa, whatever. All these people, especially in their 20s, that are here like, fuck this place. I can go live like a fucking king in Cambodia. They got internet. I can take my Zoom from there, and they're fucking gone. I did that shit. I fucking bolted every, like, 2 weeks I was in a new country.
Right. And then you worked in Germany.
Yep. I lived over there for a couple months. Like, I was like, it's fun. And it was like, because I figured out how to do remote work just 20 years ago. But now, imagine, because Mike was just talking about that the other night. He was saying, like, all these chicks he sees online are just all, like, in their bios or whatever, is all, like, loves to travel, looking just to escape and go somewhere for 3 months. And he's like, how is everyone else just traveling the world like crazy? I'm like, well, think about it. Like, it's way fucking cheaper over there. And way more fun and way more relaxed. And everyone's having a great fucking time. Like, you go to fucking Vietnam, everyone's partying, having a great time, bomb food, cheap as shit to live. You'll have a time of your life living over there right now, if you're there. And it's like making the salary, like, even if you made $20 an hour, you'd be fucking killing it in fucking Thailand. So, like, and if you have a remote job, you're not making $20 an hour. Like, you know, let's just start there. Like, your minimum is probably maybe 25 if you really didn't give a fuck and just took some data entry job. You're making $25 an hour, and you're living like you're making probably like $250,000 here, because it's depending on, you're living like in just the outskirts of Thailand, just fucking off, killing it. And then you could even save and build up your skills to get better jobs and do whatever. Like, you'd do way better off leaving the country and going somewhere else. I think a lot of the young kids have figured that out, but I don't think they realize it that way. I think they're just like, oh, look, because of the way things are, I can travel and it's fun and I can do it. But I don't think what they're actually doing is they're basically testing the waters of, let's leave the country. Let's get the fuck out of here. It was like when I was traveling, we'd leave to go out for like a weekend or maybe a week at most and come back, just jet set, you know, go to fucking Italy for dinner and come home type shit. But then it was like, you always wanted to come home, and eventually like, so much better. But now you're like, I don't want to go back there. Like, fuck that shit, I'm going to stay here. So people are going on longer trips and getting used to it, and they're like, fuck this place. They're leaving the country. I think this is the beginning of the exodus. Just people just haven't figured it out that that's what's actually happening. People are leaving the country in droves. They're just doing it saying they're only going for a couple months. And then they meet a girl, or then they meet a guy. And then they go to fucking, where?
What, Sri Lanka?
Sri Lanka.
Well, they're moving on Wednesday.
See? They're leaving the country. Different reasons. But but not too much, because she's like, fuck it, I'm going to go too. Yeah. And I'm bringing my kid. Fuck this place, I'm out, right? And honestly, shit, probably, why not do them better?
Yeah, no,
you know what the school system's going to be like over there? It's probably fucking way better than we're doing here now.
Now
Well, I can tell you this: with the money you make, you can absolutely put your kid in fucking private school.
Right.
And I don't know, but like most Asian schools, they're pretty on top of like getting their shit together. Like modern, like to Singapore. There was I had a guy that I worked with at Standard & Poor's who lived in Singapore when I did my interview, and he lived there for like 7-8 years for the company. It was and when he flew back, we both started working down on Wall Street down there together for the same shit. And but when I was talking to him, you know, working him over there in Singapore and shit, it was so crazy because that was his life. He just lived over there, and his kids grew up there. He wound up meeting a lady there, getting married, having kids, all that kind of stuff. And their kids went through school there. And we were talking about it, and it was just like, it's so far ahead of ours. Like, impossible for us to ever catch up to what's going on in Singapore. Like, their public school system. Their public school system is so phenomenal that every country in the world should be modeling their school system after it.
No, the kids are learning like Singapore math.
Well, that's why I was stoked when we put the kids into that private school, and I was like, you're not doing that Common Core shit. And they're like, nope, Singapore math. I was like, I don't know what it is, but fucking love the sound of that.
And they're learning Mandarin.
Yeah, and then, which, that's going to be detrimental.
What?
Learning fucking Mandarin, that's going to be detrimental.
Yeah. I don't know if it'll be needed, because I don't think that the majority of people will know it.
I think it will. You don't, really? How many people are in the United States? Like, what, 400 million? There's over 1 billion in China. There was 1 billion when I was in grade school. What's the population in China now? Holy shit.
The new world superpower.
Oh, yeah. Of China and U.S. today.
If it isn't already yet.
ChatGPT is amazing. It's my new Google. It's like whenever a question, I just put it there. The problem is...
Oh, because it explains it to you, too, right?
Yeah, exactly. And way more information. It's fucking awesome. The only thing that I would love is if it had a bibliography. So this way, when it's like right now, the estimated population of China is approximately 1.4 billion.
Right, should have.
Like, I love a little one, and when you click on it, it goes to the source. Because, like, I believe it, but I think a lot of people are going to... Talk about false prophet. A lot of people are going to blindly trust whatever the fuck ChatGPT says. I was actually talking about this on my other podcast thing, about how I think there's going to be a new type of attack coming out soon.
Oh,
called
that's where I would spiral to.
AI poisoning.
Right.
I don't know, man, I'm calling it AI poisoning, but it's basically people will be intentionally putting out false information strategically, knowing how these models learn, and then once that's learned, strategically put out information, misinformation, so that the AI models that are currently learning everything, it's reading it, grabs it, and eventually there's enough of there for it to be a truth to the AI model. Because the AI is stupid.
Right.
It just spits out what it knows, but it knows whatever you give it. So if you can taint the information going into it, then it will regurgitate that. So like, if you had enough money, enough influence, you could easily put enough stuff out there to where the AI models pick it up, and now it's like, oh, this is what actually happened in history.
They're doing it right now.
Yeah, everyone is.
That's the thing. Everyone is. They're learning that this is...
Absolutely. Right now, it's like everyone's trusting it.
Jeeves knows everything.
Yeah, and then next is going to be the spamming. When you type in something in Google or whatever, and then you just see a bunch of spam sites, you're like, oh, these garbage, just ads everywhere. It's like, oh, this is annoying, right? Well, that's because people figured out the Google algorithm, and just, I made a bot that would generate websites. You just gave it a list of keywords, and then, because we had keyword tools where it would, basically we could figure out what was being searched the most, where there was the least amount of web pages for it. So then we get those keywords, and I made a website, a web app at the time, there really weren't SaaS apps back then, where I just hit a button, the whole thing would generate a website with the keywords. It would go out, it would steal fucking context from other websites, jumble up the words and put it back in so it was a one-to-one copy, find the top images of that keyword, bring it all in, make the banner, make the stuff, and randomize it a bunch of times, and make like 4 or 5 pages, all linking to each other, register the domains, do fucking everything. You just hit a button, and I give it a list of like 30 keywords, and boom, it just makes spam pages like crazy. And then throw a Google ad on there. And that's how I was making like $2,000 to $3,000 a month, and Google ads from these spam sites from people just clicking on it. My like top one was like I own seatbeltpurse.com. So because of that, I had some spam site on there and I made bank off that one. That was like the one I made the most money on. And what I thought was hilarious was like 6 months later, I met up with Sarah and she had a seatbelt purse. I was like, oh, I pushed that. But then Google caught on, banned me. I could no longer post Google ads, rightfully so. And then it also refactored the algo so this way it doesn't pick up those sites anymore. So that's why you get like more legit content. So right now we're in the beginning of AI, like we're in the beginning of searching, where it's like when you search for something, you got what you looked for. But eventually, that's going to get taken advantage of. And that's going to be crazy, because how the fuck do you prove that? Like, what? Oh, I just put a bunch of stuff on the internet. It's not my fault that that's what this thing then just spits out to people and they believe it. Like, what do I have to do with that? I just happen to link everything together and highlight certain words and do the stuff that I know that AI models then make that go up in rank. Like, this, it's just the new, like, Google hacking. It's just going to be AI hacking. It's or I call it poisoning, but yeah. So, it's supposed to be very weird. Like, I was also just talking to this other guy for the other podcast, and we were talking about how sending text messages and getting phone calls is being spoofed a lot right now. But now there's AI is being involved. Take your average 20-year-old, maybe 18-year-old, 16-year-old, whatever, kids, right? 16 to 25. And you took their social media account, Instagram, whatever, where they're posting videos and clips themselves doing shit and talking to their friends, whatever. You could garner enough audio from that to train a model to mimic that person's voice easily, right now, today. Like a dum-dum could do it with the services online. Then, with that AI model, you make a soundboard. And the soundboard says, "Mom, help, I'm in danger. I need you to send me money now." And you get a phone call. You know what their phone number is, because you can find someone's phone number fucking easy peasy. Everyone can do that. You know where they live. You know, you can find out all information. You know when their birthday is, because look at their social media account. They'll be like, everyone's saying happy birthday to them. Well, guess what? Now you know their birthday. How old are they? The shit tells you that, so you know exactly what their birthday is. So you know their first name, their last name, their date of birth. You know where they live. You probably know their parents' name, their social. Just if you scour that person, you'll know everything you need to know about them. So you call up the mom, unsuspecting mom, at like 2 in the morning. "Oh my God, Mom, I'm in trouble, blah, 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 blah." They're going to freak the fuck out, run and get the money, wire the money, do whatever they got to do, because they think their kid's insane, or is in trouble. And it's crazy. This is happening. Like, this isn't like, I'm not just making this up in my head. Like, this is happening to people right now. And then things like text messages. Like, we were getting a whole string of texts where one of my employees was getting a text posing as the CEO saying, "Hey, I need you to do something for me real fast." He was like, "What?" "I need you to go to like the closest store and get me a couple gift cards. I have this demo I need to show something for." He was like, "Oh, okay, how many gift cards do you want?" And it was back and forth about going to get, this dude was trying to scam him to buy him gift cards and like prepaid cards and send them to him. So I was thinking, like, what we need is like a new form of validation. So when someone makes a phone call or a text message and they're in a distress situation of any kind, you have a passphrase. So this way, like, if you call me and you're like, "Hey, I'm in trouble. I need you to wire me $1,000 to this account right now," I can be like, "No problem. What's the password?" And you tell me Slayer. So then I know, I'm like, okay, done. Wire this shit in a fucking heartbeat. You know what I mean? But if you're like, "What?" and you're just, whatever, then, I know it's an AI bot. I think that shit's going to be necessary very, very soon. I think people should start having that kind of thing in place. Because, like, your kids are naive as shit, too.
Yeah.
Like, the little ones that are under 10, maybe not, it's even under 15, honestly. Like, they just don't know. If they get a text posing as, like, their parent, like, "Hey, I need you to do something. I lost my credit card, but I know you have it on your phone. I need you to send it to me right away," whatever, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Then, okay, what's the password? Brownies. Okay, no problem. I'll send it to you. Like, I think that should be talks people should be having now. Anyway, So, yeah, it's weird.